Hey everybody, welcome to In the Red Zone. Sean Brown, Michael Johnson here. It's time for Week 7 college football picks. But before we do that, we need you to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, like the video, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, and go check out Odds Jam, link in the description. Everything you need if you're a serious sports bettor, you're going to want Odds Jam if you like to bet on all sports all the time. Okay, Sean, Week 6, biggest game obviously, especially for you. Red River Rivalry.
Yeah.
Oklahoma pulls out the 4-point win. I had picked Oklahoma to win the game. This is always a very, very close game.
Yeah.
Always comes down to it. And I just felt like the underdog was the obvious pick in this one.
Yeah, I'm still riding the high off of that. I mean, literally shaking while I'm watching that game. It was nerve-wracking, but most OU Texas games come down to the very last minutes. I mean, take away last year, which we all know what happened. But normally, even in the years that Texas was down, I mean, it could be a 5-7 3-point game, and they're always pretty exciting. And I like those games more because the fans actually stay. You know, usually when one team is beating down the other side tends to clear out. Didn't happen in 2021 when the last game I was able to go to, and hopefully you know what happened in that game. Caleb Williams emerges, and man, what a game! I mean, it just both sides just getting momentum here and there. You know, OU's running back still couldn't really run the ball that effectively, but Dylan Gabriel goes for over 100 yards. I think he had 114 on the ground.
He had a Heisman-type day.
Yeah. He had a great day, and really solidified kind of his legacy at Oklahoma in that game. And that game is actually where a lot of players actually emerge. And I remember one year, Kennedy Brooks, really, that's the game he got his start that year. I mean, it was 5 games in. We've had wide receivers that blow up in that game. You couldn't ask for a better game.
And it was the Oklahoma defense proved they're for real this year.
They're
And I remember,
for real, yeah.
If you go back to last week's picks, I said Quinn Ewers would be good for at least 2 interceptions. That's how many he threw was 2 interceptions. So, you know, and it was kind of a difference. What was interesting was the first quarter when Texas is driving. They throw the pass, he gets hit, it's an interception.
Yeah.
3 and out, and they block the punt.
Yeah.
And
I was about to say
touchdown.
So I was about to say that one, you know, yeah, Sanders probably should have caught it, but then going back to watch it, he put Sanders in that position. That throw was way high, and he had to go up for here, and then gets rocked by Billy Bowman. Like Ewers should be
high over the middle.
Ewers should be apologizing to Sanders for that throw because that was a dangerous. I mean, Sanders is lucky he's as tall as he is because he got rocked on that. I mean, just rocked.
Another team that's very lucky to have gotten a win, Colorado over Arizona. Arizona had their number. That goes to 3 overtimes. No, the USC
Arizona.
Yeah, and then but Colorado struggled with Arizona State.
Yeah.
So that was a 3-point win. But USC lucky to come out, be undefeated, 3 overtimes against Arizona.
And we'll keep this intro short, but Miami, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm so sorry you have coaches that decide they want to keep a drive alive rather than just kneeling the ball and running the clock out. Man, that's got to be one of the most heartbreaking things. You have the game won. All you have to do is kneel. And, I mean, that's the big thing at the end of games is just hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
So many fans are constantly screaming, just hold on to the ball. Just hold on. We've got the win. Just hold on. They wouldn't have covered, but...
but even if you run the ball, the one thing you're telling your running back is hold on to that football.
Right.
If you hit contact, don't fight for yards. Just go down.
Yeah.
Just go down.
And I watched Mario Cristobal's press conference after the game, and he just looked so dejected and... you know, he wished he could have gone back and gone over the intercom and just said, hey, we're going to kneel it here. But one of the things I started thinking about was, did their running back, was he almost to 100 yards? And they wanted, but he had 102 yards at that point when they decided to run. Cristobal just said, no, we had a good drive. We just wanted to keep on pushing. They knew they weren't going to go down and score, but I think they wanted to try to just run. But it was third and 10.
And there was only 40 seconds to go.
Yeah.
It's not like there was a minute and a half on the clock.
It's third and 10. And we watched another team that just, I forget who it was, but in the very last, they couldn't kneel on fourth down because they still had like 7 seconds left. Was it Colorado?
Oh no, I remember that it was. Forget the game. I saw it. He scrambled out and just kind of took time and chucked it and threw it way high to where it wouldn't even land.
Actually looked like there was 1 second on the clock when that ball hit.
That was
out of
Melrose
bounds.
in Alabama and Texas A&M.
Was it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Man, it was a crazy weekend of games and I don't know. That's just Miami. I'm sorry. I know we have some fans that watch the show.
Well, last one, and then we'll get to the picks.
Yeah.
Kentucky has a new theme song. It's a country music song. Bury Me in Georgia. They got buried in Georgia.
Man,
I mean, they don't even have a skeleton or a body to bring back. That was ugly.
Well, I mean,
Brock Bowers went off in that game.
This is two teams that one has been there and one has done it, won big games.
Yeah.
And the other, has won some games and pretty impressive looking, but just there's a difference between where a program is, in winning and being there and doing it, that they've been pushed. A lot of those players have been on national championship teams.
Yeah. Well, Kentucky had me fooled. I thought they were for real this year, and they are not.
Yeah.
They are pretenders. So.
Yeah, I think we're picking their next game this week, and so we'll have to look into that and dive into it and stuff. So.
All right, let's get into Week 7 picks. You want me to call them, or you going to call them?
If you feel good enough to call them.
I got them. All right. Let's start with Tuesday night game.
Maybe we won't. We won't have the problem that I put in there. I made the list last week and accidentally put that Ohio State was traveling to Maryland, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think somebody in the comments quickly...
They corrected us.
Yeah.
But you hit that one on the money. You said Ohio State would win by 20, and they won by 20.
Yeah.
So, good call on that one. I mean, I'll just say the money games, the ones I was confident on, the money games, I did great. Overall, the picks, 17 picks, I didn't do that good.
Yeah.
So, all right. 17 games again this week. Let's get started. Tuesday night game. Liberty is a 6-point favorite against Jacksonville State. I believe Liberty's still undefeated, correct?
Liberty is undefeated, and Jacksonville State has one loss. They're 5-1. Liberty's 5-0. Both teams are actually 100%. They're so Jacksonville State is 4-1-1 against the spread, and Liberty is 4-1 against the spread. So, not really a whole lot to do with there. I mean, we could look at as the home team, Jacksonville State. Where's this being played? At Jacksonville State. They're 3-0 against the spread at home. It's not a very big spread.
I am going to take Jacksonville State.
I'll take Jacksonville State as well. Yeah, with them being perfect at home, that just says that they play well at home. They take care of business, and you give 3 points to the home team.
Yeah.
So really, maybe it should be a 9-point spread at Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Jacksonville State to at least keep it close.
Okay. Thursday night game. West Virginia is a 3.5-point favorite at Houston. Mountaineers have really surprised me. Their defense has not surprised me. Their defense is playing really, really good. Offense is kind of sputtering along, just kind of managing to do just enough to win. Houston has a great offense. Their defense is just hideous. Man, this one's tough. What do you think about this game?
So I'm looking at against the spread, just kind of the trends with that. I'm trying to find how West Virginia is as the road team, because they travel down to Houston.
Yeah.
So they're 1-1 as the away team. Not quite sure what Houston is as the home team.
Well, I'm going to go with my gut, which is that if West Virginia wins, they don't win by more than 3. I think it's a tougher game just because of Houston's offense. I think West Virginia should be able to move the ball and score some points to keep up, but my gut's telling me to take Houston in this one.
So Houston is, I think I saw they're 3-1 against the spread at home, or 2-1 against the spread at home. So I'm going to go with my gut on this. I already have West Virginia picked as my just barely looking at it kind of pick. West Virginia's kind of surprised. They they were penned as like one of the worst teams in the Big 12 preseason.
Which I never believed that.
And now they're 4-1. I mean, Neil Brown's kind of, he's got them on the right track. They're giving up quite a bit of offense, or they're giving up quite a bit on the defensive side, but Houston's given up 405 yards per game. I know that doesn't always necessarily equate to points, but Houston lost versus Texas Tech at Texas Tech, which isn't very far. I mean, it's across Texas for them, but lost 49-28. They beat Sam Houston State.
That's nothing. That's
38-7. They lost to TCU. They lost to Rice in a double overtime game. And West Virginia, since they lost to Penn State, all they've done is win. So
I like West Virginia to get a 3-point win. That's why I'm taking Houston.
Oh, you like for a 3-point win?
Yeah.
They beat TCU by 3 points. They beat Texas Tech by 7. Beat Pitt 17-6, and then Duquesne they beat 56-17. So I'm gonna stick with West Virginia on this one.
Friday night, Tulane is a 3-point favorite at Memphis. I got to be honest, I haven't followed Tulane too closely this year. Memphis is decent. You hit me with this one because I wasn't prepared for this pick.
So
let's take Tulane on the road.
Memphis, I believe, has only played one home game.
Wow.
Let me check that to make sure, because all I saw was 1-0 against the spread at home. Oh no, this is saying I don't know why it's there. Maybe it's not updated or something, but they've had Boise State at home, Missouri at home, and Navy at home. That's right. That is right. I don't know why that says that. They're 1-0 against the spread. Who
you like in this one?
I'm going to take Memphis. I like them. I like them at home. I think that their home crowd, when they're there, can be pretty ruckus. And I think if they only lost one, both teams have only lost one game. That's kind of why we pick some of these teams the way we do. If it's got a gigantic spread, we're probably not going to pick it. Yeah. Even if it is the high. If it was Alabama favored 31 versus Texas A&M, we're not going to pick that. It depends, too, on where both teams are with their schedule, or where they are with their records. And both teams are 4-1.
Yeah.
Give me Memphis in this.
Okay.
They lost to Missouri. Their only losses to Missouri, and Tulane's only losses to Ole Miss. So actually pretty good losses there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Stanford's against Colorado. Colorado 11-point favorite at home. Colorado struggled with Arizona State, which, to be honest with you, is not a very good football team.
Yeah.
Stanford's the worst team in the Pac-12. If Colorado can't cover 11, then I think we're done talking about Colorado.
Yeah.
Honestly, we are. I mean, I'm done talking about Coach Prime and all that stuff.
I thought about
Won't
not
even mention them again.
Okay, so this kind of goes against what I just said, but it's only an 11-point spread.
Only 11, yeah.
Stanford's 1-4, I think. I wanted to put this game in there because I am going to take Colorado. They're at home. I think they've done fairly well at home. Looking here, do you have any other notes on it?
No, I mean they struggle with
they're
2-1, State.
2-1 against the spread at home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just say you got to take Colorado to cover the 11, and if they can't cover the 11, then I think it's time to stop talking about Colorado.
This is more against Stanford than it is for Colorado. I don't think Stanford really has anything that is going to give them much of trouble. But I mean, who thought that Arizona State would give them? Who thought Colorado State would give them much trouble?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking about pumping the brakes, but I think in this game you kind of have to go with Colorado.
Well, if they struggle in this game, then clearly Colorado is one of the bottom 3 in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
If they struggle here, because they've got blown out by. Now they stayed with USC. That's more on USC's defense than it is on Colorado.
We just saw USC in Arizona this last week, and Arizona
terrible.
Takes them to 3 overtimes.
Yeah.
And gosh, I mean, and their fans are saying it. I know I say it every week, but Grinch has got to go.
Yeah.
He's got to go. I don't know how Lincoln Riley doesn't see that, and maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't want to have a dominant defense. But just imagine what that team can do. His offenses are incredible. I mean, among the best in the country. Why not get a complementary piece defensively?
Imagine USC with Ohio State's defense.
You've got
no one would beat them. It wouldn't even be close.
Or imagine USC with even Oklahoma's defense.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be close.
We were begging for a defense like Oklahoma has now, and USC fans have got to be just scratching their heads at what's going on. Why can't Lincoln Riley? Grinch has got to have something on him. I mean, I know we always say that's a cliche thing to say, but or maybe they're just buddies and he doesn't want to hurt his friend's feelings or something, but.
Who you got in this?
So
back to Colorado.
Yeah, I'm taking Colorado.
Okay. Saturday game, Syracuse at Florida State. Florida State is a 17.5-point favorite. Clemson went into Syracuse and just completely demolished Syracuse. Yeah. This one, Florida State at home should easily cover this.
Yeah.
They should. I mean, they're up there, fifth in the rankings now in the AP? If you're serious... If you're a serious team and a serious contender, you got your mulligan with Boston College.
They might be in the top 4 because I think Oklahoma's at number 5.
Maybe they are
in
4.
the AP.
Okay.
In the coaches, Oklahoma's like 7. I don't know where it all breaks down with the coaches poll.
Florida State got their mulligan with Boston College.
Yeah.
If they go in and struggle against Syracuse at home, I don't see how you can consider them a serious contender, even a playoff team. So,
I mean, they've got the pieces. They
let's
definitely
take
have the
Florida.
pieces.
I'm taking Florida State to cover, but they better not disappoint us.
So Florida State is 1-1 against the spread at home, and if this, I mean, this usually team rankings has had the best against the spread numbers, but knowing that it was wrong on Memphis, or maybe I'm just wrong and not seeing it right, but yeah, I'm going to take Florida State in this. I think that Syracuse, they play well at home normally, besides Clemson. On the road, I think they only have one loss, but or 2 losses now. I just think that Florida State's too much for them, especially at home.
Michigan State's at Rutgers. Rutgers is a 5.5-point favorite. This one's a little bit tough to pick. Rutgers covered the spread against Michigan, didn't they? I believe they did.
Yeah, so Rutgers is actually, as the home team, they're 4-0 against the spread.
Okay. Well,
so I think that's another reason why I put this in here. Rutgers is one of the only teams left that is 100%. They did have a push, so they're 5-0-1 against the spread, but they don't, you don't count that push as a loss.
Michigan State's a little bit, that team's in shambles right now. After firing Mel Tucker,
yeah.
If they've officially fired him, I thought they did. Shaun is doing good things at Rutgers, and I think I'm taking Rutgers to cover.
Yeah, Michigan State is 2-1 against the spread, so I'm taking Rutgers as well.
Next one, Iowa State is at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, a 3.5-point favorite. This one I'm not sure about. I remember earlier in the year I picked Ohio University to beat Iowa State. Iowa State last week had a really good, solid win. They look like they've kind of turned things around a little bit from the beginning of the season. Cincinnati has an excellent defense. I mean, really an excellent defense. But boy, their offense can't get anything going this year. They haven't been really good. This one's tough though. Cincinnati is a 3.5-point favorite. I'm going to take Iowa State in this one.
See, I feel like these two teams are as evenly matched as any team in the Big 12. And I don't mean, good or bad. I just mean when Oklahoma played them both, I believe in Brecht a little bit more than I do Emory Jones. But their stat lines are oddly similar. I mean, Brecht has 1,223 yards on the year, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Emory Jones has 1,226 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. So, man.
And by the way,
this is a really tough one to call.
And by the way, Ohio University that beat Iowa State, they're 5-1 right now. Their only loss was the first game of the year against San Diego State when they lost their quarterback and their backup was just terrible. And they still only got beat by 7. Ohio University, who beat Iowa State.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier in the year.
But Iowa State's, I think, gotten a little bit better. They beat Oklahoma State, who's bad, but also beat Kansas State this last week. Oklahoma took care of them 50-20. TCU, they just beat 27-14, and then Cincinnati they're on a 3-game losing streak right now. I think they break that this week.
You like Cincinnati?
But I could also see it being like a 1-point game.
That's my thing, is it's a very close game.
Oh, man. And it's 11 a.m. kickoff?
Yeah, if it was Cincinnati at 3, I might take Cincinnati.
Yeah.
With the idea you might push. But at 3.5, I like Iowa State.
Yeah, I'm going to take Iowa State.
Okay. Oregon is at Washington. Game of the week here. Washington is a 3-point favorite. Complete toss-up.
Kind of surprising.
Might as well be a pick 'em. I do believe that Washington has the best offense in college football with Penix Jr. at quarterback. Their defense is not that good. Oregon, on the other side, has both. They've got good offense, good defense. Boy, I think this one turns out as a higher scoring game, maybe 38-35 as a final. This one actually could push. But just because of how good both teams are, I'm taking the underdog. I'm going to take Oregon.
I'm going to take Oregon as well. I think, like what you said, their defense is better than Washington's. Penix Jr. is 1 yard shy of 2,000 yards on the season already. That's just insane. I think he's got 16 touchdowns and like maybe 2 interceptions. He's playing just lights out this year. But I think Oregon, there's more people kind of talking about them right now than Washington. Both are kind of in the driver's seat, and one of those teams is going to lose for the first time this week.
Right. And just because I'm picking Oregon doesn't mean I think Oregon wins. I don't know. I think it's so close.
Yeah.
It could be a 1 or 2 point game. I just got to take Oregon because they're the underdog.
Yeah, and we could run into some trouble there if it goes into overtime.
Yep.
Because then one team could end up winning by 6 or.
That's true.
Man.
It's a tough one. It's not one I'd want to put money on.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. But I'll keep my pick, like I said, and I'll stick with Oregon.
Texas A&M's at Tennessee. Tennessee is a 3-point favorite. Texas A&M is better than their record. I know that Jimbo's getting a lot of flack down there, but bottom line, Texas A&M is a better team than Tennessee. As an underdog, I'll take Texas A&M to go into Neyland and get the win.
And Texas A&M, I don't think they were supposed to be this good.
Well, they last year they had all these true freshmen come in. Everybody thought they were going to dominate right off the bat, and none of these kids were ready to play. Bottom line,
especially their defensive line.
Right. So now these guys are sophomores. They're starting to get it. They're starting. Texas A&M is going to be lethal next year. They're going to be really, really good if these players all stick around. They might have the
best D-line in the country next year.
If they stick around.
If some of those 5-star defensive linemen can play up to what their ranking was coming out of high school, watch out. They're going to be a tough out for anybody.
So I think they're one of those. They hung right there with Alabama. They did get blown out pretty bad against Miami, but I just feel like Texas A&M.
Wasn't that the beginning of the year, though?
Yeah, it was.
Was that the first game?
I think so. So I think Texas A&M goes into Neyland Stadium and gets it done.
Yeah, Texas A&M is. Let's see. I just had them. I think they're 4-2. Yeah, they're 4-2 against the spread. Tennessee is 3-2. Be careful using that as your main source of information, because anything can happen. I use that just as something to just kind of help myself round out the game and how I think it'll go. Tennessee, I would think, is the more balanced team, but they're giving up more on defense, especially rushing defense. Texas A&M's only given up 84 yards per game on the ground, and Tennessee likes to run the ball quite a bit. They're a more balanced offense, but can they run the ball? If you're not running the ball and you're contingent on being a balanced offense, can that hurt you?
And I have no faith in Joe Milton to make good decisions in a tight game.
Yeah.
It's close.
I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think with it being this low of a spread, that home crowd for them, let me see what time that game is, 2:30. So not the early game, not the late game.
Tennessee fans, bring your mustard. Bring your mustard. That's all I'm going to say. Bring your mustard. You're going to need it. You're going to be mad.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tennessee.
Okay. Kansas, 4.5-point favorite at Oklahoma State. I don't care that Oklahoma State won last week. Fool's gold. Kansas absolutely runs all over Oklahoma State.
You think so?
Yep.
So I think Kansas might be one of those teams that's covered quite a bit. Maybe not.
While you're looking, I'm just going to add this.
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier today. I was talking to somebody yesterday who had really good knowledge, and I'm not going to say what school or who the player is or anything, but there's a player who, coming out of high school, heavily recruited, whose dream has always been to play at Oklahoma State. Goes to Oklahoma State for a camp over the summer, and Mike Gundy's pretty much nowhere to be found. He drives out for a little bit on a golf cart, says hi to everybody, and leaves, has really nothing to do with it. That player gets hurt at that camp, decides to go ahead and go to the Oklahoma camp anyway, even though he's hurt and can't participate. And Venables spent a lot of time with him at camp, said, we know you're hurt. We still want you here. You know, this is a great place for you. It's going to be a good home. And it goes back to what I said last week about my gut telling me that Gundy's going to hang it up. And you said even the radio show, he just doesn't seem engaged or as interested. This more goes to that point. And now this recruit who has always wanted to go to Oklahoma State is probably going to pick Oklahoma. So that I'm not going to say who it is or anything like that, but it's telling.
Yeah.
Mike Gundy is not engaged.
Yeah.
He's not, and it shows on the field. So take it for what it's worth, but I just am not sold on Oklahoma State. I think Mike Gundy is he's coasting right now to the end of his career, and I don't feel like he's really interested in becoming a legit contender, trying to rebuild that program to compete again for a championship. That's just my gut feeling. So,
well, I kind of saw it with Bob Stoops a little bit, and if you're an OU fan, just bear with me here. I love Bob Stoops. Love him anytime he's on a radio show, anytime he's on TV. I'll watch him, I'll listen to him. But there was a time towards the end of his career at Oklahoma where some fans were kind of thinking, is he getting close to retiring? I mean, some things were starting to slip. Recruiting had slipped a little bit. And then it kind of got juiced a little bit when Lincoln Riley showed up, and then Baker Mayfield kind of revitalized the program for a few years. But I don't know. I don't know if some of these coaches just get to a certain age where things just aren't as important to them anymore. And I mean, obviously not somebody like Nick Saban. You're going to have your the guys that break the rule, So I don't know. I think he could be just getting a little jaded. He's been in the media quite a bit in the last few years in a negative light, and maybe
he's frustrated with
NIL
NIL and transfer portal.
Right. It's kind of the game is kind of passing him by, and
yep.
But anyway, I'm taking Kansas in this. Not sure when Daniels is supposed to be back, or if he's supposed to be back. I didn't
Kinda
ever
doesn't matter for them right now.
I didn't ever hear season ending or anything.
No.
I don't think. And Bean has played well, but he typically will start out games playing really well, and then when the game starts to go along, he kind of maybe loses focus or just doesn't play as well. But I'm still taking Kansas. Oklahoma State, I know they won this last week against Kansas State, and they found something in their running back.
Bowman finally played well too.
Yeah, what is their running? I need to give him a shout out because he's been the last few weeks has played pretty good against Kansas State. He had Ollie Gordon II had 22 carries for 136 yards, 1 touchdown. I don't know. I mean, the running game's starting to get picked up a little bit. I'll stick with
Kansas.
I'll stick with Kansas. Yeah.
All right, next game. Florida's at South Carolina. South Carolina's a 2-point favorite. Florida, are you going to show up? Are you going to show up? If you show up, I think Florida easily wins. If they don't show up, South Carolina is going to dominate them. I saw the funniest thing when the polls came out. Florida fans said, "Where are we at in top 25? We beat Vanderbilt." I think they're poking fun at their own team on that one.
Yeah.
So, no, It's just unbelievable. I mean, Florida, one week they're nowhere to be found. The next week they look dominant, like they're a top 10 team. But South Carolina they have spoiled me. I came in the season thinking they were the second best team in the East behind Georgia, and they're not. Spencer Rattler saying that Tennessee beating them was their Super Bowl. I mean, talk about cocky and arrogant.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Florida. Take Florida in this one.
South Carolina, I don't know. They opened the year losing to North Carolina, 31-17. Then they beat Furman, 47-21. Then they lose to Georgia, 24-14. Then they beat Mississippi State, 37-30. And then they just lose to Tennessee, 41-20. They did get a bye week this last week, and Florida did not. They just played Vanderbilt. So does that help?
Half a bye week.
Does that help South Carolina out? They don't run the ball very much. They like to pass a lot. They're passing for 312 yards per game. And then their defense is giving up a lot more than Florida is. It actually kind of shocks me that South Carolina was favored by 2 points here. I'm gonna see if this works because it's been loss, win, and if South Carolina wins, there's a good chance they win by more than the 2 points. So I'm gonna take South Carolina. I'm gonna see if this works, and I will next week. I'll let you guys know if it does or if it doesn't. But it seems like South Carolina is just they're gonna play every other game. They're gonna give this one a shot, then they're gonna let the other one go. I just don't. Spencer Rattler can. I say this. I feel like a broken record saying this. He can make any pass on the field. I mean, he just has the arm talent as good as anybody out there. But his problem is in between the ears.
Yep.
I mean, he's just doesn't stay focused. And, we saw that with Oklahoma. And, yes, you can get better. But I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of faith in him. But I'm going to see if this works, if they have a trend going here, and I'll take South Carolina.
All right. Next one, Kansas State's at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a 1-point favorite. I picked Texas Tech to finish almost dead last in the Big 12 this year. I still don't think they're a very good football team. But the two teams in the Big 12 that have disappointed me more than anything, Kansas State and TCU. I really thought they would be better than they have been this year. They have been really disappointing. As far as this one goes, I'm not a fan of Texas Tech. I don't think they're a very good football team. But they get a win this week at home, and they cover the one.
Yeah. They've won 2 in a row now, Houston and Baylor. They lost to West Virginia, who's turned out to be pretty good. And that's Texas Tech I'm talking about. They hung with Oregon in that first game, and Oregon has done nothing but just blow teams out after that. Granted, that was the first game, and you get, however many weeks days during the your fall camp that you get to prepare for that first game. And then Kansas State losing to Oklahoma State. Look, Oklahoma State wasn't going to lose every single Big 12 game this season. They just aren't. I mean, they're good enough to hang with they should be good enough to hang with just about everybody except for Oklahoma and Texas. Year in and year out. I'm going to take Tech though. 1 point. Yeah. 1 point spread at home. Lubbock is a crazy place to play.
Yep.
I think it's a little bit later of a game, 6 o'clock, so it's going to be under the lights. They might even
duck those tortillas.
Duck those tortillas and batteries, yeah.
Yep.
But they may even black it out. So I'll take Tech.
Wyoming's at Air Force. Air Force is a 9.5-point favorite. I don't really care who wins this game, but Wyoming definitely keeps it within 9.5.
I think so too, and that's why I put it in here. So Air Force is 5-0. So they're doing pretty good. They're still rushing for 329 yards a game, but Wyoming is holding teams to 141 yards per game on the ground. So I think their rush defense is pretty good. They've gone against some teams that like to run the ball, Kansas State, Texas, and they hung with Texas for a while, and then they whooped the game against Fresno State was not as close to me as the score indicated. I mean, they kind of handled Fresno State for a better part of that game. And it really, Fresno State scored 9 points in the fourth quarter, 3 in the third. So, yeah, as far as I watched that game, and I tried to flip back and forth between, I think that one was going on as well as the OU game, I think. No, that was a 7 p.m. game. Okay, so it was a different game I was flipping back and forth through. But I think Wyoming might even win the game.
Okay, next one. USC is at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 2.5-point favorite. This one, second best game of the weekend, behind Oregon and Washington. Notre Dame's path to the playoffs is done. They've lost 2 games. Yeah. It's over with. There's no chance for the playoffs for Notre Dame. Second best thing you could do this year, because this is such a rivalry, is knock USC out of the mix. And I believe that Notre Dame bounces back and does just that. USC's defense is way too bad to contain Notre Dame's offense. I have got Notre Dame outright winning, outright covering 2.5.
Now, okay, so USC has their problems with defense. Everyone can see that, even USC fans. There might be the lone few that are still holding on to that Grinch flag and thinking they're going to turn it around. They won't. I promise you that. Defensively, I mean, offensively, they can score on any team in the country. But Notre Dame also has their problems. I mean, they go into Louisville and lose 33-20. That game was out of reach from the jump, really.
Yeah,
I mean, and that was.
But you can't go in the one game.
I know, but I've seen other games where Notre Dame has had issues, and
But you got to think too, they struggled with a Duke team that hadn't lost. This was a Louisville team undefeated. They played Ohio State, who was undefeated. I mean, I don't think the losses necessarily dictate that they're bad or they're having problems. I think they just played really good teams.
They were able to do enough to corral Riley Leonard, who is a mobile quarterback. I mean,
they held Ohio State in check offensively.
Yeah.
Their defense is really good.
Maybe they keep Caleb Williams from using his legs so much and forcing him to pass the ball.
I just think Sam Hartman and the offense are going to score at will on that defense.
Here's the thing about Notre Dame, too. They don't really have like a notable wide receiver. I mean, and I say that in nobody's really like just Notre Dame fans. You might have some guy that you're like, this guy's been really good every game. That's fine, but normally teams are the really good teams that have great wide receivers, running backs. They've got guys that are already eclipsing 500 yards at this point in the season.
The playmaker for Notre Dame on offense, other than Sam Hartman, has been their tight end, because he throws the tight end a lot.
Well, and Audric Estime is really good, and Grinch. I mean, if they go up against a really good running back, Grinch's defenses usually have a lot of trouble with that. So I'm taking Notre Dame in this. Okay. I think they win the game. I'm not 100% confident in that, because you never know. Caleb Williams is he's kind of the I don't know what the word is for it, but that team goes as Caleb Williams goes. So if he struggles at all, they're going to struggle. But I just think at this point, I think USC has more issues than Notre Dame does.
Yep. Okay. 4 games left. Miami, North Carolina. North Carolina's 3.5-point favorite. I think Miami will contain North Carolina to some degree, but I was really, really surprised that Miami struggled with Georgia Tech. Yeah. I really was. Forget to take it a knee, forget the last touchdown. That game shouldn't even have been close. Miami is much better than Georgia Tech. They didn't play well, and I can't imagine they were looking past Georgia Tech to North Carolina. But I'm going to take North Carolina to cover 3.5. I think they get the win.
Yeah, this is Tyler Van Dyke going against Drake May here. It's a pretty, people are looking forward to this game. Quarterback play is going to be really good. Both teams are have over 500 yards of offense. North Carolina is just at 500 yards of offense. Miami's defense only giving up 58.2 yards per game on the ground. North Carolina's only given up 118, so that's still pretty good. Man, what was the spread? 3?
3.5.
3.5 for UNC?
Yep.
I don't want to overreact to one game because before that, Miami beat Temple 41-7. They were one of those teams, you remember, 2 weeks ago, we just said the only teams that have really looked dominant were Oregon, Penn State, and Miami.
Miami, yeah.
Every game. I mean, they really, just about every game, looked dominant. And then they run into Georgia Tech at home.
Yeah, at home. That's the thing.
And Georgia Tech's got Haynes King. He came from Texas A&M, has a little bit of experience. Gosh, this is tough. I almost want to take Miami just because I think it'll be like a 2-point game.
Go for it.
I'll take Miami to bounce back from that.
All right, Missouri's at Kentucky. Kentucky is a 2.5-point favorite.
Oh, yeah. Give me Missouri.
I'm taking Missouri as well. Although I'll say Missouri's going to be kind of tired because they're going to have to travel down to Georgia and dig up the bodies, bring them back to Kentucky, to Kroger Field, so they can even play the game. So they might be a little bit wore out to start the game. It might feel like fourth quarter in the first quarter for Missouri. No, I'm just kidding. Missouri's going to win the game. Kentucky's just not the team we thought they were. They shouldn't even be favored in this one. I like Missouri.
I like Missouri's skill position players more. Luther Burden's got 793 yards so far. And from what I said earlier, I'm not saying every wide receiver in the country has to have 793 yards at this point in the season. But when you get a guy that's only got 300-something, that's your leading receiver, that's where I kind of have some pause with that. But Kentucky's only given up 92 yards on the ground per game. I like Missouri's offense more than I like Kentucky's, but I like Kentucky's defense more than I like Missouri's. Both teams have lost in their last game. Both lost this last week. Kentucky's was to Georgia, we just saw, and Missouri's was to LSU. So not bad losses there. I would say the Kentucky loss was worse because they got blown out. And Missouri loses by 10 to LSU. So, man, I'm taking Missouri. Yeah,
okay.
Sticking with Missouri.
UCLA, Oregon State. Oregon State is a 5-point favorite at home. UCLA beat Washington State, which I didn't think was going to happen. So UCLA is playing pretty good football. But Oregon State just seems like they're on another level right now. The problem with that is I don't think Oregon State's doing very well covering the spread.
Did I take UCLA? Yeah. I took UCLA
last week.
And I got that one right. Just kidding.
How's Oregon State against the spread?
So Oregon State is 4-2, and then who are we talking about?
UCLA.
UCLA is 3-2 against the spread. So not much difference. Not any difference there.
I'm going to take the Beavers at home, cover 5. I do think they win the game. The question is by how much. 5, I don't like that number, but I'll just take them. I got to make a pick.
And it's in where does Oregon State play? Corvallis.
Yeah. Middle of nowhere.
As the home team, Oregon State is 2-1. As the away team, UCLA is down there. They are 1-1. So do with that what you will. I'm gonna take UCLA. I'll take them a second week in a row just to keep it closer than 5 points.
Last game, NC State is at Duke. Duke is a 3.5-point favorite. Duke's going to bounce back. Duke is a really good football team, a very good football team, one of the best in the ACC. Duke wins against NC State by at least a touchdown, maybe more.
Yeah, and NC State, they just played a game this last week. Duke gets a bye week after that heartbreaking loss to Notre Dame. I'll take Duke as well.
Okay, that's our picks for Week 7. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, hit the notification bell. Go check out OddsJam, link in the description. I'm telling you, if you guys are serious about sports betting, you're going to want their services.
Oh, I got to give it one more of these. just to cap the week off.
All right. Oklahoma's on a bye this week, so Ohio State must be too. We didn't pick them, so.
No, they're
at Purdue. We didn't put them on the list.
Yeah, it was a too big of a spread. There's several, like Georgia's playing Vanderbilt. They're like a 30-something point.
I'm really glad we're not picking that game because Purdue is Ohio State's kryptonite. So I'm kind of glad we're not picking that.
Should have put it in there.
No, I'm glad we're not. Okay, thanks again. Again, subscribe. Go check out Odds Jam, and good luck with Week 7.
Too.
Yep,
Thank you
10,000.
10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. We made the call, last week, and it means you guys are listening because as soon as we mentioned that that video went up,
we're at 10,100 as of right now.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much. Keep on hitting that subscribe button. We'll be here every week.
Good luck with your picks, and we'll see you next week.